This question says, I know I need to be active online, but I don't have the time to make, let me make sure I'm reading this right. I know I need to be active online, but I don't have time to make multiple things work. Any advice? Okay, so I'm taking this as them basically saying they know that there's an important, there's an importance in being active online, being active on social media, things like that, but they don't have the time to do it, or maybe they don't have the time to do multiple. So maybe they're considering, hey, I'm being told I need to be on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Google Business, all these things, and I don't have time to do all those things. What do I do if I don't have time? And they're asking for advice. So I'm going to approach it like that so that you know how to approach it. First things first, and we talked about this a little bit last week, you have to identify who your core audience is, who you're trying to reach. Depending on who your core audience is, they may or may not be hanging out on one of those particular platforms more than another. So if you're trying to really reach somebody B2B and you're trying to reach professionals like architects or something like that, LinkedIn may be where you want to spend time, and you may want to put your time into actually reaching people in LinkedIn that are architects or things like that, versus say Instagram or something like that. So the first thing you need to define is who you're trying to reach, because depending on who you're trying to reach, you may not need to do all the platforms. You may only need to do the one that makes the most sense. That being said, once you identify who your core audience is, and I apologize, guys, for the glare. Like I said, I usually don't do Marketing Mondays at this time, but I'm in the spot where I'm getting a lot of glare through this window. So once you identify who you're trying to reach and where they're hanging out, then it becomes an issue of, focusing on that platform and not necessarily trying to do everything. I would rather see you. I know there's differences of opinion with regard to this, even amongst some of the people I consider mentors and friends. Like Gary Vaynerchuk might say, you need to do all the platforms. You need to be doing them all. And he does that. You could see that in his situation. He definitely goes after all the different platforms. But everybody can't do that, or they don't have the budget, or they don't have maybe the ability to hire somebody to do it. So I'm going to tell you my advice would be, maybe contrary to his, that I would rather see you figure out the platform that's most valuable to you and do that platform really well, as opposed to trying to do 4 different platforms and doing them all mediocre. Now, again, you really need to define who your core audience you're trying to reach is and what you're trying to accomplish with the posts or the ads or whatever you're trying to do. And that's going to define where you need to spend the time and the effort. So when you say you need to be active, but you don't have time to do multiple things, I would say you really need to spend a little bit of time up front figuring out where you need to be active, and then be active strategically in those places. And if you have extra time, sure, taking a post that goes out to LinkedIn and sharing it on a Facebook page, or sharing it in Google Business, or sharing it on Instagram in a way that's innovative on Instagram or TikTok is always, the more you can do, the better. I do agree with Gary Vaynerchuk on that. In a perfect world, if you could do it all, because you never know what might resonate with somebody. But if you're forced to focus on doing 1 or 2 instead of the 4, I'd say spend a little bit of time up front figuring out where you're going to get the most benefit and do those really well, as opposed to trying to do all 4 of them and doing them all kind of not so great.